All right, I think we're okay.
Good evening. Let's call the meeting in order. Stand and join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, tonight's meeting is a opportunity for department heads, judge, and the elected officials to turn in their budget requests. We could start off with Dan.
Thank you.
Zoning.
Actually, could I just
Yes.
sort of make an introductory comment? So I understand that this is, I'm sorry, I'm too loud? Oh, wow, that, it is unusual. Sorry, thank you. So anyway, I understand that, you know, this is the first time that the town has done this. So it's new for all of you who are presenting, so I just want to thank you. You know, I tried to talk to Scott and encourage him to do this last year, but you know, I think we got started a little late last year, and I wasn't as familiar with the budget process last year as I've become with the budget process. A lot of other towns do it this way, so I just want to say I appreciate you all coming in tonight to do this and to give the board members and the public an opportunity to see how this process works. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you for putting me on the docket here first.
Just speak up, Dan.
You want my mic? It seemed to be really loud.
No, I don't think it's a light.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was perfect.
Thank you for allowing me to present this first. I have an important meeting following this. It's I don't want to be important. So, basically my budget would remain the same for next year, 2025, with the exception of personal services. Historically, employees asked for 2% raises. Cost of living this year was, so they tell me, is 2.7, so I've asked for 3%, which would amount in personal services to, what I had it written down here, an increase of $1,101. The rest, I really don't need. Equipment seems to be fine. You might want to consider in your budget debates contractual expenses. If the town of Shelby desires to take any derelict buildings down, you know that costs. So my total contractual expense is $4,000. So I'm going to leave that up to you. If it's hard to get a building down and without sometimes paying for it. So budget remains the same except for 3% personal services. And that's all I have.
Dan, you were talking about a couple months ago getting an attorney to prosecute cases. Have you checked into that at all?
No, I haven't.
Any idea what that would?
Well, I think the district attorney is obligated. I think one of the assistant district attorneys is obligated to prosecute for me. The cases that I tried in court worked out, I think, as well as can be expected.
Yeah, it should be district attorney or the ADA. Sometimes if they don't have someone available, they'll, you know, basically give the town attorney the powers to act as an ADA, but.
I mean, I've always represented the town in court cases, but you have to, the board has to know that I am not a licensed attorney. So I don't know how that plays in. That's for you, counselor, to decide, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Does the board have any questions?
I do have one, Dan.
Yeah.
Can you tell us how many demolitions did you do this year, do you know, roughly?
Well, we didn't, yeah, when was that house taken on? Last year, wasn't it?
2023.
2023. I didn't do any this year.
Okay. Do you see some, as you're driving around, that you think might
Yeah,
be?
the thing of it is that these houses, Linda, are tucked in and tucked away. But yes, there are a few.
A few meaning like if we
I have-
budgeted
I
for
have
2 or
three.
3? Okay,
Yeah.
3, okay, thank you.
And that one I had spoken about, and I do have some, I don't know if the assessor forwarded you those papers. The one next to, this church in Millville, it's kind of an in-between thing. Nevertheless, an eyesore, but three that I have, 2 on Baby Lane and 1 on Freeman Road.
The one where the fire was on Freeman?
Well, there's one that's a tree, there's a trailer, a single wide trailer on the south side of the road. Again, Dale knows, I don't know who the property owner is, and it's just trashed. It should be demolished. The brick one, I think I don't know where, I'd like to, but that's another story. Okay?
And do you know what, like, I realize it depends on the size, but is there a rough estimate as to what a average size building would cost?
Well, the one we did, Art Hill, when he was alive, I think about 4 years ago, on South Gravel Road, across from Gordy Grimes. Of course, Art was generous towards the town. That demolition cost $2,500. That was a smaller house. So I'm thinking, you know, three to 3,500 to 4,000 at the most. The DEC will allow you to bury solid waste that comes from a demolition on that site. Now, you gotta understand, it's not hazardous waste, it's not liquid waste, it's solid waste, and that's without the shingles. They will allow you to bury, which drives the cost down somewhat. So, as opposed to getting dumpsters and hauling it away, and that's where sometimes the cost will, accumulate. You know, you have to get dumpsters and take it to the dump. You know, so we try to do it the cheapest way possible. The one on Johnson Road, who knocked that down, Dale?
The neighbor did it for free.
The neighbor did it for free, so the pile of rubble is still there. So, I mean, if we can get that done that way.
Yeah.
Or, there's fire departments, but those a little tenuous too, it just depends on the location. So, okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ed?
More questions? Thank you so much.
Thanks, Dan.
Appreciate it.
Judge? Sorry, Judge?
This is different. So, my budget is pretty much the same as Dan said. The only thing I ask is for a raise for the clerks, because they do a heck of a job, and I'm always complimenting them. I invited Ms. Lemon to come in and sit in court and see what they do. Any of you guys are always welcome, but the state gives us the computer programs to use. And by the way, we got an email today, we're constantly updating them according to what the state says. We have a new CrowdStrike program that has to be posted. So they're gonna work on that tomorrow. We just got that notice today. But as far as, the only thing I don't know about a copy of these. Most of the equipment, the computers and everything we have in there are state-owned. And I think I mentioned to you when I came to that one meeting, we had the 4 computers replaced because they were getting kind of slow, so the state sent us 4 new computers. Now, one of them's underneath your leg there. The other 3 are in the office, and those are all basically maintained remotely by the state. So the copier, I don't know if that lease went up at all. So I didn't get that copy lease. As far as some of the supplies, the great thing is, if you remember, I talked to you guys last year about the KCAP grant that we got. So we paid for the TVs and all the new chairs. And we had some money left over because we got a lower bid on the chairs. And we were told by the state that it's a hassle to turn that money back in. So they give us permission to use that to buy supplies. So we bought some paper stationery supplies that we normally use. But we also bought a couple of laser toners, which cut down on what the town used. One of the things and Ms. Lemon asked me about how we are this year. And I know we're under the budget, so we're gonna have money left over. I told you last year that I anticipated a certain person who was pleading not guilty, and he had several different charges, that they were going to split the trials up, which would have been all big trials, which gets expensive for the stenographer. Because we normally pay for a stenographer to come in on criminal night, and I believe it's somewhere around $200 for the night. But if you have a trial that's all day, we have to have her here all day, which gets more expensive. I still have another couple trials this year, but I'm not upping that amount. So the steno, I was gonna leave at $5,000, because if she's here all day, it would cost $1,000 to have the steno here. So, the attorney knows how expensive it is.
Is that gonna be enough to cover steno? Do you have that many trials?
Yeah, I believe we'll be okay. We'll be okay. As far as the conferences, I'm gonna leave it at 3,000, even though I mentioned, next week, we don't have court because next week is the state conference for judges. And it happens to be in Niagara Falls. Last year, I drove out to Syracuse and stayed overnight for one night. This year, it's Niagara Falls, and I happen to be on cap arraignment that week. We take turns doing the central arraignment out of the jail. So I'm just going to drive over to Niagara Falls during the day and get back here in case I have a cap arraignment I have to go to. So the conferences for this year is going to be under. The difference for next year is the conference is down in New York City, or no, it's in Albany next year. So that's going to be a little bit to drive. So usually I only go to 2 days. I don't stick around for the third day. But there's certain seminars that they give there that are interesting, very interesting. The only difference is I up the interpreter service. And one of the reasons is, a week ago Tuesday, I had criminal night, which was pretty busy in here. I had a deaf person who was supposed to come in. And as a matter of fact, they tried to cap arraign him over at the jail the month before, and they couldn't do it, so I would have had to arraign him here. We had an interpreter. The way the interpreters work, we get a hold of the 8th Department out of Buffalo, and they assign somebody to us. We're in a discussion about that in the department, so hopefully we can try to get our own. That might be a little bit cheaper, but we have to get a hold of Anna in Buffalo at the office on Delaware Avenue. She assigned somebody, so I had an ASL interpreter sitting here. The bad news is the gentleman didn't show up, and then during court he called and he said he couldn't get a ride. So he's coming back next month. So I have to have the certified ASL interpreter here again next month for him. And I don't know where that's going to go. And as you may know, during the summer we have a lot of migrant help in the neighborhood, or in the area. And if they do request an interpreter, we have to give it to them. We've argued that we have an interpreter service that we can call at the cap arraignment and have it on speakerphone for that only. But if they're in the courtroom, in a trial situation or in an appearance situation, we have to have a certified interpreter here. So the main interpreter service is Spanish, but you never know what you're going to get. We actually had, I took a plea from a Russian guy who was involved in a burglary over here at Orleans Fort. Well, luckily he didn't ask for an interpreter. He could speak English, basically, and he took a plea. So that would have been expensive because we have to scramble out of Buffalo to find an interpreter. So mainly that's it.
Ed, can you speak up? I just got to notice that someone can't hear you.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. My sinuses are bad too. I step outside and it's all that golden around. So mainly the big thing is the interpreter services. And like I say, I anticipate we're going to be under budget. The only thing that's pretty standard is the pay. And usually the conference, Pat is going to the conference this year. Their conference is the week after ours, but theirs is also in Niagara Falls, the court clerks. So, and we are required to do 12 hours of training. We have what's called Core A, which is 6 hours we can do on the computer, Core A, and we can elect to take 6 non-required courses. So all judges, all town and village judges across the state have to do the specific Core A. But for the extra 6, we can do something else. And the nice thing is the seminars that come up, like in Niagara Falls, are considered toward that continuing judicial education. So I anticipate meeting that budget. Any questions?
I have one. So, you said earlier that the state kind of handles your computers,
Correct.
but that there's a computer maintenance here. Can you tell me?
Correct. There are some things that they don't handle.
Okay.
When we have, and it's through whoever you guys do.
CNH.
Joe comes. So the computers, even though they sent them to us, they couldn't initially set them up. We had to have him in here and set them up. And we actually had a little bit of a problem getting 2 of the computers back online. So he had to come back a second time to do that. So that's part of that. The other thing is when we get any other type of problem, we usually call them. And actually, the camera system is, sometimes we have a problem with it. We have to call somebody in, so we consider that computer maintenance because it is a DVR that sits in there and records all the time.
So the cameras in the courtroom are just yours, or the cameras in the building belong to the court?
Well,
Just
we
this-
have the cameras in the courtroom and out front. We have one out front and we have one on the side and one in the back.
Okay.
So we maintain, we can see who's coming in. And actually, we had an incident down the hall here a couple of months ago. A girl was writing all over the wall and the door, and we happened to catch her on camera. And when she came into the arraignment, we took care of that. So, but that's on a DVR. If you guys recall, when they stole the trailer down here at Ontario Shores, I don't know if you guys knew that. There was a trailer, they were working on Ontario Shores, and the guy had his trailer there, it was stolen. So actually Miranda looked at her cameras and couldn't find the truck going by with the trailer. We went back in our DVR and I found the truck and trailer going by throwing sparks all over the place. So the camera system actually protects our parking lot, but you can see the road too.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
yeah,
Anything, Jeff?
anything else?
Good.
Thanks, Judge.
Just to address Dan's question,
Mhm.
I know he left, but I pointed out to him, and the attorney Kathy is correct, those are misdemeanors. So yes, we can schedule those. If Dan has a problem with somebody, we can schedule them on criminal night, and the assistant DA is here. So any misdemeanor is handled, actually preliminary felonies and any misdemeanor is handled by the district attorney's office.
Okay.
The only difference would be if he writes a violation. So I don't know how you'd want to handle that. So, questions? Nothing? Okay,
Thanks, Judge.
thank you.
You ready, Dale?
I thought I was going.
Okay, you can go.
You told me I was going.
I don't remember. That's fine. Darlene?
Okay, the first page is actually our, like, the first 5 pages are out of the last year's budget. And what I did is I just tried to put on the side what I was asking for next year. The registrar of vital statistics is $900. That stays $900. It's something the state does. And what it boils down to is the first paycheck of January, the registrar, which is myself, receives $600 in one check, and then my deputy, which is the deputy registrar, she receives $300, and that's supposed to be to take care of all the death or birth certificates that we do throughout the year. But that's always $900. I know other town clerks have it different, but mine's always been $900, so. Tax collection. In 2022, you'll see it was $3,000. And then after that, they changed it and put it into my personal, into my salary line. So that $3,000 is in my salary line. So it looks like there's nothing for the taxes when it's actually, from 2022, it was $3,000. And I don't see anything for equipment as far as taxes go. Now, the next page for the contractual, I kept that at $4,000, the same as last year, and it brings it up to $4,150. The only thing is, after I did this, I got thinking, oh no, I didn't do the paper that we use for copying tax bills, or the envelopes that we have to send out to the residents for the second notice, the software, conference and all that. So, well, I guess that contractual $4,000 does amount for the software, the conference, and the mileage for conferences. It's just the paper, the bills that we use, for the bills, the tax roll has to be copied off a couple times, and all the envelopes, I did not add into that. So at the bottom, you can see that was like an additional $3,050 to add all that in. And that is an estimate, because I certainly don't know how many pages of paper I copy out for tax roll or for the second notices or receipts that people need. And then down at clerk, you see the personnel services, and that is gone up. I amounted 3% for the deputy clerk, and then I am asking for another full-time clerk or at least a part-time clerk. It's getting pretty busy, and I just don't like the busyness of, accidents are gonna happen, there's a lot of concentration that needs to be done. It's hard to concentrate on my work when I'm up at the counter answering people, when it's got 5 and 6 people at the counter. It's something that really, we need to have another girl. There's busy months, November, we've got hunting licenses coming in, the August and September also, we've got water bills coming in. It's pretty hard for one deputy. So then, what I did is, I did not get a raise. If you'll see the papers I gave you, there's been 3 different times since I've been here, I'm in my 17th year now, I'm finishing up my 17th year. There's been 3 years I never got a raise, and that's because I was an elected official. When the elected officials chose not to get a raise, I was elected, I didn't get a raise either. I'm one of the lower paid town clerks in the county, so I have asked for the raise from last year that I did not receive. I'm asking for a raise for this year, and it was 3% for each one. All right, the contractual for the clerk, that is gonna be, I've got down, the contractual stays the same at $6,000, but in the bottom you'll see that if we do we have to count paper for dog renewals, we have to count the envelopes we use or the ink donor, that brings it up to like $39.50. So then, records management, I have down, that stays the same at $14,500, and that's for personnel services for a deputy to work 2 days in the vault or scanning and everything into DocuWare. We've got a system where we scan a lot of records into DocuWare now so that it's all online, or not online, but it's in the cloud. The equipment for that stays the same. The contractual for that stayed the same. So it's just the only thing that really is gonna change is the salaries. And I'm also thinking there are a lot of dogs that are not licensed in Shelby. We used to have a dog control officer who would go around, or a dog enumerator, and count the dogs in Shelby. We have tried 3 different times to get somebody in. We ran ads, people come in, and then they decide they don't want the job after they've had the paperwork for a couple days or a couple weeks. So anyways, I've talked to some clerks in the area. One clerk, she does a mailing to everybody, and then if you've got your dog, it's just saying, make sure you keep your dog licensed. And those that get that mail, they'll say, oh, I got a dog, I gotta get it licensed. We had a woman come in the other day that didn't know she had her dog licensed. I don't know how long she'd had the dog. So I am asking the board, I would like to take on dog enumerator myself, meaning I will send out letters or postcards to all the homeowners to get it started. And then as far as the town of Clarendon clerk, she is a dog officer. And if anyone comes to her office and there's been a dog that is not licensed, she sends out a letter to that customer or that resident. And then if they don't do anything, she sends out a second notice with an appearance ticket. And then that way they come into court, and then they have to, see the judge, and the judge takes care of it, and generally that takes care of it. She gets like $2,300 a year to be the dog, officer. Oh, I did. She gets $22.36 a year for being the dog officer. What I was asking for, if I could have my raise be $48,950, that would leave me $1,780 to do the dog, take care of the dogs, send out the letters, and then make sure they get tickets if they're not licensed. And then it also would cover me taking care of the website. I'm the only one that takes care of the website. I've been doing that for a couple of years and never got compensated for it. I started doing the vouchers again. I expect, something for that. I'm doing the abstract. It's just something that I'm asking for, and I don't want to appear greedy, but 3 years without a raise, and times are tough for people, and things have gone up, and I'm just asking the board to consider my request. I also want to let people know, I don't know if you new people know that I did go to school at Cornell University, and it was only a year after I became a town clerk. I wanted to be the best clerk I could be. I went to school at Cornell University. I spent 3 years going for a week every summer in the dorm. It was boot camp for clerks. And with doing that, I earned my CMC, which is my certification of municipal clerk. And then I took a year off because it is boot camp. You start at 7 in the morning, you don't get done till about 9 o'clock at night. I went back a year after that. I took that year off. I went back, and for 3 more years, and I worked so hard, and I became a master of municipal clerk. I'm proud of that. I'm the only clerk in Orleans County that's a master municipal clerk. There's only a very few master municipal clerks in New York State. It's a worldwide thing. So I'm pretty proud of that. I just want everyone to know I worked hard to get that, and I'd like to see something come about that too. I haven't seen anything really happen. But as you look through the paperwork, you'll see that, there was 1 year that my insurance was taken away when I turned 65, and, that became a big hassle. And so I did get $3,000 that year, kind of like for a stipend, but I didn't get the insurance. But I just don't want to see that getting a raise because I worked hard for my town and my residents. Any questions? Of course you do, Linda.
I'm sorry.
Why would you be different?
I'm just confused, when you were, I'm going to go back to contractual expenses under tax collection, I guess. Is that the one, where did you add the paper in? So you're talking about the paper that you need to copy and the envelopes.
Yes.
Is that not in your current budget though?
No.
So
It's
we're
always
gonna
been
be
under,
over in that line by?
it's always been under the central, or some storeroom, or some building's room, or something. I never, ever, ever had to figure out how much paper I'm gonna use, or how many envelopes I'm gonna use. I just know that we bought 4 boxes of envelopes with stamps on them and everything, labeled town of Shelby. That was over $2,000.
Okay, so we've accounted for that somewhere else. Does that sound like that? Okay.
Central storeroom, that's on.
Okay, so we're just she just wants to move it forward, okay.
Yeah, I'd rather just stay like it has been, it's worked out good for you. And I didn't want you guys to forget it and not account for that either, and then we're short in our budget.
Hey, Dar, I got a question for you. What was the total that you were asking for the dog, taking over for the dog? I didn't get that to write that down.
Well, if I can do if I get the $48,950, which would bring right now to $44,500. So that sounds like a lot of money, big raise. But it accounts for 3% last year that I did not get a raise last year, 3% this year, which would bring it up to $47,170. If I go up to $48,950, which is the 10% raise, that would give $1,780 left, which would account for me taking care of the website, vouchers, abstract, dog enumerator, dog officer.
1780 then, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know.
The clearing clerk, like I said, just for her being a dog officer alone, she gets $2,236. So I think for $1,780, doing the website, the vouchers, the abstract, dog enumeration, I don't think sounds like a bad deal.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
But if you're so overworked now and you want a second clerk, when are you gonna be able to get out and do the dog school?
You don't
Not
go out,
to
you don't go out. You're gonna send a letter. That's what Town of Ridgeway is working on right now, is getting letters sent out. And I actually got a postcard that we could send out to make it a little bit cheaper than doing envelopes and everything. Just send a friendly postcard that, you know, if you have a dog and you get your dog licensed, and that's how it would be done.
Okay.
I'm not going out door to door.
Oh.
Anything else?
That's how my town does it, they send out postcards.
They do what they do, Kathy?
Yeah, my town sends out postcards for that.
Right.
Hold on.
Okay. Anybody else?
Hold on a second there. Look. Let me catch up to you.
This stuff, these papers are just kind of back up to
So
what
what I
was in
said,
the
just so
other.
that tomorrow you can look them over and say, oh, that's what it was. Yeah. Oh, the second deputy I put down, I saw it in the book, it was 1502 she would be getting. I raised her up to $16 even. I am gonna retire in 3 years, but I do wanna see somebody come in here that could actually take over and be the town clerk, so that it's like I never left, and it's just, I want a nice, even, smooth turnover. And right now, I just feel like it wouldn't be a good, so I really wanna start training somebody. It takes a long, you don't learn the job in a year. You know, you're filling up taxes once a year for 4 months and you're done, so, and it's something even now, after 17 years, I still fill out papers, so, you know, I do wanna get someone that I can start training, even if it's part-time, I'll be happy to do that, you know? And then hopefully, when I retire, she could be the next clerk, or at least help the next clerk, you know? Like Ridgeway, the first deputy, she's helped the clerk along the way, you know?
Do you remember, Darlene, what your contractual is, that $6,000? Is that for the copier?
For what?
Copier, under clerk, contractual,
No.
1410, 400? What's that $6,000 for? I don't remember what that.
The contractual for
Yeah.
1410, that's for my conferences, regional, if I go to regional conference, it's for the software, the BAS software, and for mileage I may have for conferences or post office or the bank.
You're not gonna need any new equipment in the office?
I don't think so. And you know, how do you know? I don't know.
If you happen to hire a second full-time clerk or part-time clerk, do you have a computer and all?
There is a computer in
everything
there.
set up or
It's right in front of my desk. I don't know if it's set up now, because when people needed a mouse, they took the mouse. When they needed the keyboard, they took the keyboard. 'Cause,
Yeah, we got those, that's not a big deal.
Yeah.
That's,
things walked off there.
okay, deputy clerk. Isn't, I don't see it. What's, the first deputy clerk is 20, right?
Yes, right now. I put her in, she would get 20, that's 3% raise for her.
I might be missing.
That would be 2060 for the first clerk.
Okay.
And she works full-time, it's 1,820 hours. So her salary would be 37,492. And then I put the second deputy at 16.
What's the threshold for benefits? Do you know, or do you know, Scott? Is it $35? Is it full-time? Like
I think it was,
anything less-
I think it was 35. So.
Anything less than full-time?
Yeah.
Okay, does not, okay.
'Cause we worked 37 and a half.
35,
35.
7 hours a day, times 5 days a week.
Okay,
All set?
I'm good, thanks, Darlene.
You're welcome.
Yes, sir.
Very good.
Oop.
How's that? Good?
Yep.
Okay, line A, 50-10-100. That's my line for compensation, and I was looking for a 2% bump. As with everyone else here, my expenses have also increased at home. I've been here having a good time for almost 5 years. My department and I have done a lot of road repair, water ditching. In their words, more and better than before. So I never asked for one. I'd like one this year. Line A, 50-10-200. This is my equipment line, the superintendent for office equipment. Has risen in price. I'm asking for $500 more.
So 2,100 instead of 17?
Yes. The 50-10-400, that is for my classes, schools, and conferences. Again, everything has gone up, across the board. And I just wanted to bump it up to $4,000. Line A, 88-10-100. That's my cemetery personnel in the highway department. In the cemeteries, there's a lot of broken stones to repair. An awful lot of improvements are needed, and it all takes manpower. We are digging a lot of graves, stone foundations, so we are providing a monetary flow back to the town.
What are you looking for in that?
88-10.
Well, they've been out there repairing stones, right?
Yes, we have figured out a way to do it. So Jeremy's getting pretty good at it. 88-10-100. I was looking for just under $3,000, $10,000.
Well, you said under? I mean, you have a direct number?
2930.
To make it 10,000?
Yeah.
And that's, so all the work they did this summer, that was never, you guys never did that.
No,
So this is something,
This
a
was
new
the first.
expense that we haven't had before.
that is correct. There's an awful lot of previous foundations that are there that have crumbled, stones have slid and moved. When the old ones fall, they tend to break in half, and Jeremy has figured out a way to pin them together and stand them back up. They're heavy and it takes time. People have appreciated what we've done so far.
Yeah.
The 88-10-400 is my cemetery
Nothing, I'll go back to
contractual, which is product that we need to buy to work in the cemetery. Lights, flags, tools, concrete. Was hoping maybe to put a retaining wall up. We have, in large rains, comes down the hill, and it seems to be banking into, it's the H-A-A-K, Huck? I don't know, that's right, H-A-A-K.
Is that a person, what is it?
That's their name.
Oh, that's a person?
Yeah.
Is the stone, okay.
And it covers them all up, and we have to go in there and dig it all back out, and that has to be done by hand. So I was hoping with some extra money that we could build one of those landscaping retaining walls to make sure it doesn't happen, and then we'll try to put a berm up on the driveway. And no matter whatever we use for a berm, certain amount of water will eventually cut through it.
And what are you thinking that's gonna need on that?
I added $1,000.
Brother?
Yeah.
Line A, 3310-400 is my traffic control account for signs, cones, and et cetera. It wasn't in my 24 budget line, but it was in previous, so I was just gonna leave it at $3,500.
3310-400.
3310.400, correct, A.
That's 5,000.
It was at 5,000. See, I didn't have it in my 24 budget, so I didn't know.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, did we skip, 5130-200? I missed that. Sorry.
Yeah, we jumped to that one.
That's where we are. We're on DA 5130-200.
No.
No, we're on 3310.
No, that's my equipment line for office equipment,
Yeah.
and it's, everything has risen in price. Now it's at $500
All right,
more.
where are we? I'm sorry.
3310-400.
I don't have it.
Under A.
Oh,
Yes,
I had two, I'm sorry, it was, after I printed yours, I
A.
found it.
Okay.
He's already got more in
apologize.
there. Get it all, so.
There's two lines that you don't have.
The 3310.
The 3310-400 is traffic control, so it was not in my work
Yep.
papers. So it's at 5,000, I would like to keep it there then.
Okay.
Okay.
Another one that was not in my previous one that is not on yours is a B account, 7710 for parks. Is that mine? It had been before.
Was it on your worksheet?
No, it wasn't on my 2024 budget.
B what?
B 7710.
7710 what?
That's all it was on there.
Okay, we'll have to.
So parks. For parks here, it's 7110. I don't see a 7710. Do you see a 7710?
I don't have this one.
No. Is that 7110, Dale, or 7710?
I had 7710.
I'm just looking at last year's budget.
But that's 7110.
It wasn't on it.
It wasn't on last year's budget?
No, that's what
Okay.
I found it, I think, in my 20.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I just had it in my worksheet from last year. It's not the actual budget, but it was in what I was requesting. 7710 B. So I'd have
Okay.
to,
You want-
I would assume it would be in my 23,
How much did you have on that?
35
Or what's that for?
parks.
What part?
We have one in
Oh, besides,
Shelby.
Shelby
Yeah.
Center.
Shelby
No,
Center.
yeah. You're not talking to Medina Park?
No.
That's what I'm.
No, that's
Okay, all right.
So like mowing equipment for the parks, like what?
I assume equipment. We've never really used it much.
Okay.
We've had to rebuild, we've had to rebuild picnic tables, fix swing set, things like that. So unless there's some vandalism that we could catch and use insurance, we'd have to have that amount there.
Now, do you want that, how, when they're working on that, does that come under what for payroll?
That's not a personnel or it must be a contractual.
Okay.
Again, that's all I got is 77.
I know when they're working on different things, their payroll comes out of different.
Oh, no, that would not be payroll. That would be out of the 5110-100, I believe.
Okay.
Okay, DA account 5130-200. That's my winter equipment.
Okay.
So it must be like a reserve account for equipment purchases. It was at 90,000 last year, and we are going to be in need of a second truck eventually. And then the 513210 is the same kind of account for capital outlay.
Yeah, that's the equipment reserve account.
I would like to have each one of them at 100,000 if it's possible.
You wanna add an additional 100,000 to that equipment?
No,
reserve?
no, I just wanna take the two. One's at 90,000, so there's a 10,000 bump, one's at 87,262, and just take it up to 100,000.
I'm sorry, what was the second number you were just talking about?
5130.210.
Right, if you wanna follow along with the budget though, you can follow along with, I have one that's that we're using, if you guys wanna.
You need another 24 budget?
No, no. Unless,
Steve,
for,
do you
to
need-
look at, you wanna look at it right now? No, but it's confusing too, I need to just write it down.
Oh, okay.
I'll switch seats with that if you want.
513210.
It's just easier for me to follow with last year's budget.
513210, right?
Flip up and find the numbers, that's.
Yes,
total budget.
513210. So he wants to add about 13 to that and 10 to that. Right, this is,
Yeah.
I just put down that you wanted 10,151.
We need to discuss that, but we started last year, that equipment
That is
reserve, and I
correct.
think we need to do like 45 or 50 a year. So we're not paying 10-12% interest on trucks.
Mhm.
So we need to discuss that, a minimum of 10, but we should put another 30 or 40 into that 210. And 200, you wanted to add 10 grand to?
The 200, I just wanted to make it 100, and the 210, I wanted to take it up to 100, another 13 on that, 10 on the other.
Okay.
Okay, the DA 5130-400 is, equipment repair. It's been a tough year. One of my truck 654s had multiple issues, which still continues. Our roadside mower's in the shop with a potential $14,000 bill and repairs needed. Quotes have been requested to purchase another tractor capable of being able to install flail mowers. That was a $25,000 bump.
Yeah,
okay.
400 contractual. That's already at 75,000, so you wanna bump that up?
Like I said, we got 14,000 just in the tractor, and we've spent probably close to 30,000 on CJ's truck alone.
Not counting Rusty's and the work we've done on that.
That's not counting the tires that we've had to buy. And this is just just thoughts.
It's the cost of having old trucks.
Well, it is. It's the one that's the biggest offender.
Okay, so you wanna increase that to 100, right?
Yes.
Okay. Next one?
DA 5140-100. That is the, personnel.
Snow removal, yeah. You got that at 100,000 right now?
No,
100, 287?
No.
no,
It's,
he's looking at brush and weeds
Brush and weeds at,
at
Oh,
15,600.
5140-100.
Okay.
I was just gonna add, $1,400 to it, because we're gonna be increasing the, union contract. And we've been out mowing a lot of roadsides with extra days this year, just because like everybody else's lawn, it's growing a lot. I was just looking for an extra 40 hours through the summer.
Okay.
How much was that, Bill?
It was at 15,655, and I was looking to take it up to 16,000, so 1345. The DA 5140-400, this is the line for the cemetery mowing that we contract out. If you wanted to put some extra in that, in case you wanted to have them do the fire halls, parks, maybe Furnace Parkway. That's, if I don't put it in, I can't have it
What
later
was the
on.
contract this year, do you remember? 40 something?
45. 44 and change.
Okay.
So what are you looking for there?
I was looking up to take it from 55 to 60,000. Because like I said, there's a possibility that we'll have them do extra work.
Actually, I would think it would be more than that. If they're 40 some, they're gonna increase their prices next year, probably.
Probably.
Don't we have our own, mowing machines now?
We have one, but you're sending people out at $30 an hour, basically, just under $30 an hour. If we go to the spring and ask for that and improve or expand the contract that we have now just for cemeteries to include other stuff, and the money's not in the account, we can't
Yeah.
do it. We don't have to spend it.
Okay.
I have a question. So while we're going through here, we're increasing based on last year's budget. Do you have any idea where you are to actual right now? I mean, we could be basing this
I have
on-
a rough idea. It's out in my, I haven't gone over anything yet that I can tell, because I've been keeping track.
Because I'm just, I guess my point would be, we don't necessarily have to increase if we're way under the budget right now, so you gotta be careful.
Well, I'm just like you,
Doing budget to
I don't
budget.
know for sure.
Okay, that's what I didn't know if you kind of pencil on us, scribble on your own just to have a general
I
idea,
do some, but
or-
it's not anything that I would hold.
Okay.
DA 5142-100 is my snow season labor line. Due to the union contract,
Did you increase that, or just the 3%?
well, for some reason, I just transposed the number that was next to it into the other line, so let me check my notes. I think the 170 underneath it should go back up where the 162.87 is. That's the 3%. Along with assurances for overtime.
3% here,
No, it's not 160.
yeah, so add 3% to that.
And 3% to the 160, okay. What were you
And then
saying?
I added in for some the overtime.
Okay, and what did you come up with? Or did you come up with something?
I think I came up with the 170 for the DA 142-400, that should be the 100 if it's labor.
Okay, so you want that to be 170,
Yeah.
okay, that makes sense. Like where, that's what he's looking for, is
Yeah.
170 here.
Yeah.
So the DA line 5142-400 is for winter supplies, salt, diesel, plow parts. There's some salt out there, but I'm anticipating the need for another 2,000 ton more and the purchase of 5,000 gallons of diesel fuel for the winter. We got about 3 feet in the tank right now. So again, I had the 150 from last year, and I know I'm close, but I haven't bought steel for the wings in the plows yet, so I wanted to bump that up to 170. just because of the increase of salt that has not come out yet. The state bid price hasn't come out. Fuel, right now is not bad, but it's on the rise. So there was a 20,000 increase there.
So 150 to 170, okay.
Yep.
The fuel fitted out to different companies, or?
It's OSG. There's no shopping, there's no bidding, it is state.
Right, you get the
control.
state.
Yeah.
The DB 162400 is for building. Not 100% sure if that is mine to do.
Yes, that's right.
Okay. So I wanted to add 5,000 for that.
What was it at?
Was it 35,000?
DB,
162400 dB. You wanted to add 5?
Yeah. DB 5110-100 is my summer payroll. With the union, it's a 3% increase, with some possible summer overtime buffer in there from 108 to 114,500. DB 5110-400. This is the town's portion of my budget for road repair. And for years, it was commonly close to whatever the CHIPS matching funds were, or matching CHIPS funds, but it's not anymore. That's for road repair, summer fuel, some truck and equipment repairs. And as with everything else, pricing continues an upward trend. I just want to be prepared. So I was looking for $10,000 extra.
yeah.
The DB 5112-200. It says equipment, but it's not. It's my CHIPS account. That's the money that the state gives the town. But it's not a guaranteed thing. It's pretty steady. It's 4 different programs. There's 4 different components to the CHIPS funding. There's CHIPS, Emergency Winter Recovery, Pave New York, and pave our potholes. So any time in budget negotiations, they could yank one to save face or money. But we don't know what that budget is gonna be until April 1st, if they're on time with New York State budget. Last year and this year, we had received $259,876.87, which we have used it, and as soon as I can get canceled checks from payments, I can submit and hopefully have the money back in the account by the end of the year.
259 what?
$259,876.87.
So that's a reimbursement deal?
Yes. We gotta spend it to get it, not to exceed. Now, I don't know what line it is. It's not on my paperwork. the water clerk, Beth, she's done a great job learning this new system of the water program, and she took on the inventory listing, and she helped zoning since Candy's retirement, plus some other functions, and I would support a $1 an hour increase in her wage, please. I don't know what that line is. Is it an SW line?
I'd have to look.
Well,
I don't have it with me.
and I would assume that my water superintendent, CJ Woodruff, he gets paid a stipend to be available 24 hours to do emergency stakeouts, and the tracking and testing of water increases, the water sampling. He keeps good records while working well with Beth, plus other responsibilities, and I'm asking an increase of $250 a year to his stipend, which is $1,000 a year.
250 a quarter?
No, a year.
No. You just said 1,000.
He gets 1,000
Oh,
now,
okay.
I'd like to raise him to 1,250. A lot of times we get emergency stakeouts, especially in the winter, accidents, somebody's clobbered a pole, fire hydrant, signs. And he's the one on call for the stipend.
Okay.
A quick wish list for the highway department would be a second plow truck, would be a great asset. A new roadside mowing tractor with flail mowers, and a hot box, new or used.
Can you give us some estimates on what those?
I got one estimate for just the new tractor, it's 81,000.
Mowing, okay.
If you add it all complete, you'll have close to 150,000
For the tractor?
for the tractor and the flails. Ridgeway just bought one. County bought one last year, but that's a different animal. These are my department's requests. I've explained my reason, do what you can with the budget. Thank you.
Anyone got a question? Well? You good?
I'm good.
Thanks, Dale.
Gail,
Thank you, Dale.
Gail, I got a question on the tractors with the flails.
Yeah.
Is there a reason you're going to the flail mower instead of a bush hog mower?
Yes. The bush hog mowers, when we're going down the road, especially when it's a little high, kicks an awful lot of grass out into the road. It could potentially kick a rock out, hit a car, makes a mess, it makes it slippery. When it rains, they have that grass out there. It can't help itself, because you're tipped in an angle in the roadside ditch, and it just shoots it right out the side. The flails spit it out the back.
Okay.
You want that budget, Steve? You can have it. I can get another one.
You can give me one later.
All right.
Okay. On mine, supervisors, third line down, 1355, 400, that's our shared payroll for the assessor's office. We paid 42%, Ridgeway pays 58%, so her total went to just under 43,000, so I rounded it up to 43,000 in case she needs new office supplies or equipment, additional.
So that,
The contract came down?
No, this is shared services with the assessor.
Right,
Ridgeway.
but that's what I'm saying, so for 2021, 2022, and 2023, 23, it was over $50,000, right? Am I reading that right?
Almost 56.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying,
The,
is that
the
the
old-
contract come down. That's,
The old assessor retired, the new assessor didn't get as much money,
gotcha.
so that's what
Thank
happened
you.
with that. yeah.
Okay.
1220, 100, that's payroll for the supervisor's office. That cut way down, so I figured anywhere from 10 to 20 hours, depending on the time of year for part-time. So that comes just under 30,000, and if we have to have additional hours for anything that needs to be done, I budgeted that at 35, so that dropped from 57 to 35. 3 lines down, auditor contractual, 1320, 400. Allied, 6,500. LGSS, if we go with that bid for next year, it's 31,150. I'm not sure, do you have any input on if Drescher's gonna be done before next year, or are we gonna be paying them additional next year? Should I plan for that?
Yeah, I would.
So I'll talk with Nicole and figure that
Yeah,
out then.
I think her goal is to complete it by the end of this year, but it's probably good to plan on some for
I don't
next
wanna
year.
underestimate this and then we have to move money and
Right.
so. Engineering contractual was at 45,000, the bottom line, 1440, 400. We added up at 45 because we were planning on, we thought engineering for everything came out of that, and you learned us something. So I dropped that to 25 from 45.
And what will that include?
Any engineering we need done except for the water stuff, that's why it was up that high, so, we need any engineering drawings or projects, that'll come out of that fund. Any engineering for water comes out of water.
Speak in the mic.
She talking about Mike.
Okay, 1660, 400, third line down. That's the storeroom for the paper, envelopes, all that. I increased that from 5,000 to 6,000. The price of everything has gone up. I changed nothing else on that page. And I changed nothing with medical and benefits. The only thing we're not sure on is the accounting, and we'll have to talk with Nicole, and then I can update that for you guys.
Will benefits come down if we don't have if we're hiring out bookkeeping and there's no health insurance there, that should come down.
Yeah, her health insurance will come down.
So I'm guessing that we can drop that about 20.
Yes. Disability insurance?
The hospital.
90608, the very last one on the last page.
That includes all retired people, so I'll have to check and see.
That's not
what
where,
they're-
that's not where your, where the medical insurance is for,
Yeah, that includes everyone, plus the retirees. I'll see what we can drop it down on for, with,
Let's see, on your A14204, you still got it at 150. What have we actually spent so far this year? Up to date?
you know what you billed us?
I don't, I can get that.
Yeah.
I can,
Previously, year, you got 2023 is 37,000 actual, and then 50 for 22. So,
I think part of the key in that one is where do we think we are with the stamp project? Do we think we're gonna have, because I think that was the reason for putting that up, so if we're not gonna have, if we're not involved in that suit, can we bring that down?
Yeah, I can go back, I can ask our accounting department to run what we spent,
Like break it out by
and then ask them to
category.
break it out by, yes,
Kind of like
case.
major categories.
Yes, so I can provide information that will be helpful in that respect.
And then hopefully you'll have some insight as to whether you think we're gonna need any legal around anything that may come up with stamp.
Yes.
Okay. The assessor.
There,
I see there's, the economic development, other kind of contractual, it's, there was nothing for this year, and then there's nothing for this, for 25. It was 2,500 every year.
Yeah, there was nothing for 24 or 25.
What was the reason for that? Taking it out of the budget.
I am not sure why it was done that way.
The other thing is, I think we received an email today asking, I don't know, were you on it, Kathy, from the IDA, requesting that we participate in an engineering study for the southern part of the business park, on the south side of the road.
I don't know that I saw that.
Okay,
I think it came towards the end of the day.
Okay.
so, and they were looking, I think the study was gonna be, if I remember correctly, like 20,000, and they were looking for some participation from us, since that business park benefits us. So we should maybe account for some portion of that.
Okay. Seems to make sense.
In the past, anything that we did get the PDA was only 2,500, we never given any over that.
Understand, but they're now, the village needs to apparently do something to increase, and I read it quickly, increase the, water and sewer system there. And in order to do that, and to do a study to see, I think, what that business park would need. And they're getting some activity over there that they're asking that we, help to get a study done so that they have some additional information for companies that might come here and look. It's definitely money well spent. I can send you Kathy.
Yeah, I don't have it.
Okay, we'll check on that.
Another question, you don't have it on your, expenditure, what was the reasoning for the increase, massive increase for the ambulance service? Did he give you any reason why? From 15,000 to 35,000 a year?
Yeah, I explained that in the email. The cost of the ambulances is almost doubled. Their costs, New York State passed a law this year where now the insurance companies will directly reimburse the fire department. So they used to reimburse the person who called the ambulance, and they were never paying the fire department. So that cost, we're bearing the brunt of, everyone is. So hopefully within 2 years, the reimbursement to the fire department will drop our costs, and we're gonna reevaluate the contract. But we haven't signed the contract yet. We're still working on it.
So that's, 35,000 for each,
Each municipality, well,
Town.
each Yates, Shelby,
Yeah.
and Ridgeway, 35 each. Medina's paying the majority of that bill, $320,000. I need to add that into the. Yeah.
But right now, the village is eating
Oh, yeah.
a bigger percentage, I think, than what I thought I heard in their budget meetings. Scott would know better from his current meeting, but they were just trying to get a little bit more kickback from communities that use it and not have the village.
A lot of
Bear in
their
mind.
expenditure was hospital loans, transfers, and they're not getting reimbursed. So unfortunately, the three towns have to cover that and the cost of doing business. Well, we're lucky on the east side of the county, we have an ambulance service, the whole west side doesn't have anything, so, it's well worth the $35,000 a year for a couple of minute response time. And if we want ambulance service, we have no choice. That's, we use 7%, Ridgeway uses 9%, Yates uses a little less than 3%, and they have to pay the same. So, we'll see how it goes with the meetings. They're ongoing. But I'm gonna budget in the 35 grand because we have no choice on that. So we'll run the numbers and then we can reassess it.
So I'm not sure whether you or Kathy have talked to where we are with Drescher and Milwaukee. Do they have an estimate of their timing? Because what I'd like to know, what I'm looking at, I guess, is when will we see some numbers for where we are to the current budget right now, so that we can determine whether these numbers are good or not.
So Ted from Williamson is spending some time to go back, and, I reached out to all of you separately to indicate that we were going to ask Ted to do this work for us, to give us sort of a rough actual to budget for 2024 through September or August 2024. So he's undertaking that work, and it's one of the things that I mentioned we were gonna have the board ratify tonight, is the authorization of Ted undertaking that work, so that the board can have some sense of where all of these various accounts under each of the funds stand, before you have to move forward with additional budget decisions. So Ted anticipated having that information available hopefully by tomorrow. I have a question about the EDA email. Does the EDA, do any of the municipalities besides Medina and Shelby benefit from the EDA in that business park, or is it?
Do you know? I think no, but I don't, Scott would know better than I would.
That business park is just Medina and Shelby.
Okay.
But they get a large budget from the county.
Yeah, I was just curious as to who benefits.
No, I'm just saying, okay. Yeah. Okay, so we're done with the budget part, right? Yes.
Do we have any other questions?
Any other questions?
Well, I guess I'm just wondering what will be our next steps. Clearly, this was a lot of information to grab and digest, so.
Now I need to, actually, I just got budget sheets today from Tina, LGSS, meet with the department heads, so we can transcribe this onto this, I'll send them to Tina, and she'll combine everything and give us I'll have her run the numbers and see what it's like, and if it's not right, then I'm gonna have to adjust stuff, and before I present it to Darlene at the end of the month, and then we meet October 5th for her to present it to us.
Right, so the next step is for Scott to do what he needs to do to come up with that tentative budget that will then get presented to the board, and then you can continue to ask questions or make any adjustments after Scott does that.
Isn't it October 4th, Scott? Do we meet at 10 o'clock?
Is that what we set up?
I think it's
Friday
October
morning.
4th.
We set up the Friday, right?
Yeah, the
Friday
4th
afternoon,
at 10
just for you
o'clock.
to present it to the
Yeah, at 10 o'clock in the morning.
board.
Yeah,
October 4th?
yes.
Yes.
It's on a Friday. And that's just me presenting to
Right, yes.
board, that's it.
Yes, that's it.
what's next? We have business?
Yes, so, as I indicated, I reached out to each of the board members about having Ted perform, that work for the town so that they can have a sense of what actual to budget is in connection with the budget process. So the board will need to vote to ratify that.
Did you write a resolution?
I did not write a resolution, but it would just be a resolution to authorize Williamson Law to spend time to perform services associated with developing a rough actual to budget.
You give an estimate of time?
I think he said 4 hours or so, 4 or 5 hours.
Could you repeat that, Kathy?
I'm writing it down. Perform service to,
To perform services to provide an estimated budget to actual to budget, I don't know, whichever order it is.
actual to budget.
Yeah. For all accounts and all funds. Through August 2024.
Okay. Resolution to authorize Williamson Law to perform services to provide estimated actual to budget for all accounts and all funds through August of 2024. Is there a motion?
So moved.
A second?
No second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? That's carried. Okay. Was there anything else?
To authorize, a confidential secretary.
Okay, so, Miranda resigned completely, she's out of it. So, I spoke with Kathy today, and we're still gonna need someone bookkeeping to enter the stuff for LGSS and help Drescher Merritt, and also the confidential secretary. Now, we can hire 2 part-times, or Kathy suggested we hire 1 part-time with 10 to 15 hours a week. What do you think? Opinion?
Can you say that kind of job description again one more time, so the secretary and then?
Actually, the confidential secretary and I guess it would be a slash bookkeeper, because they still have to work with LGSS to import everything, input everything. Cut the checks when LGSS prints the checks. Cut the checks, put them in envelopes, mail all that stuff out, and help Drescher Merritt. Drescher Merritt's proposal, or Malecki,
Yeah.
her proposal was using our bookkeeper to help do the book. So we can either hire 2 part-time people, or we can hire 1 part-time.
The LGSS is only gonna be working until close to the year, right? So we agreed on?
We'll address that before the first of the year. Yeah, figure out where we're gonna go.
So I guess that's what I would say, it might be a position we might wanna call temporary, part-time for right now, because we don't know what's gonna happen in January if we end up
We were gonna hire.
with a firm that comes on site.
Well, that's why I was, I don't know how everybody else feels about it, but to the extent the board was comfortable with combining those job duties at this point
As a temporary
as a
position,
temporary
just-
position, yes.
And it
We'll
would,
have confidential secretary.
I don't even know that I'd call it a bookkeeping position. I mean, I don't know, you correct me, I'm a lawyer, right, but doing the checks, I mean, is that really bookkeeping? If someone's, telling you, here's how you have to make, and you're literally, so I don't know that that's bookkeeping as much as it's administrative and would just be covered under the confidential secretary position that we're creating, but, that's your prerogative as the board.
And it will only be 1 day a week, or I'm sorry, 1 day a month, because if we only cut checks basically 1 day, right? We just do them after the board meeting. I say 1 day, after the board meeting, there's a decision of what checks are getting cut. You're not cutting checks every week.
No.
Because you have to have approval from the board, okay, so I would just be concerned on the amount of time. I think it would, I think we wanna say a maximum of some number, because again, some of those duties you're gonna do once a month for, they're gonna load checks.
Well, so, I mean, we could say 10 to 15 hours and then ask the individual who fills that role to keep track.
It's
And
not a
then-
guaranteed amount of time,
Right.
it's not a salary of that time, it's an hour up
Yes,
to
it's
that.
up,
number of
right, an
hours.
hourly up to that time, ask them to keep track of what they're doing and the time that they're spending, and then, if more time is needed, then there would be a justification for that, or if less time is needed, then we would know that too.
They could keep a log, let's say, on doing personal secretary stuff and
Yep.
filter.
Because we might wanna change the hours, should we end up with a firm that will come on site and do some of those duties that we're giving to that person right now.
Right, I would strongly recommend that the town put out a request for proposals from accounting and bookkeeping
I'm working on
firms for 2025.
Yes, Scott asked me to do that,
Yes,
and I am
right.
working on it, I just haven't had a chance to finalize it, but I will get that out in the next week. For Scott to look at.
Does the bookkeeper do the vouchers then?
No.
Oh, I still do the vouchers in the abstract?
Yep.
Okay.
I would like to discuss with the board the possibility of maybe getting 2 types of quotes. One quote from a firm that leaves the vouchers with Darlene, and maybe a second quote, what it would cost if we had the firm actually do the voucher portion.
Well, and one of the things that I think that we also need to do, in response to the comptroller's audit, is to look at the existing town policies and any new town policies that the board needs to adopt in connection with its consideration of financial reports and records. Including the claims review, the vouchers, the budget process, investments, purchasing, capital assets, bank reconciliations. I just sort of started to make a rough list, but.
So I don't know, do we need to vote on that, or is that, I don't see the harm in just asking people to give us two pricings.
Right.
Whether they wanna do all of it or,
No, I'm good with that.
okay,
Do we need to vote on it?
No, I did,
Yeah, just
no.
then I'm
come
gonna
up
ask
with
for
something
2.
and
I'll give you a list of one and then a list with the vouchers in it.
I'll just send them 2 separate emails and let them know they're gonna be getting both.
Voting 2 different, yeah.
Well, what are we gonna do on, secretary then? We still gotta vote for hours.
So what I got is a resolution authorizing the position of confidential secretary to supervisor at $20 an hour, not to exceed 10 to 15 hours a week.
I think you better pick a number, 10 to 15, kind of.
That was happy to do,
That was my
You wanna do a
suggestion,
range?
but
Okay.
especially now.
It's up to
We're gonna
you.
be working-
I mean-
We're gonna be working with,
Yeah.
doing all that,
and then the person will document it, and then we can figure out at that point, right, what the hours should be.
So, and I would say that since some of those or a lot of those duties could have something to do with helping out with giving the financial numbers, it's an on-site job. I'm not sure we wanna let
Outside,
somebody,
should be outside.
Okay, so, you guys good with $20 an hour? That's what all the clerks are getting. Okay. All right, resolution to authorize the position of confidential secretary to the supervisor at $20 an hour, not to exceed 10 to 15 hours a week. Is there a motion?
Are we gonna, for this position, or what?
No, oh.
It's Scott's
It's
discretion.
my discretion.
Then
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that we, go with the $20 an hour for the 10 to 15 hours.
Is there a second?
Yes, what's your question?
Well, I know it's not discussion time, but I wanna know, are we gonna put in there that it's an on-site position?
That's also up to me. But it will be an on-site.
And can we put that in the
No,
resolutions?
I'm not gonna put that on the resolution. I'll second the motion. Okay, now it's open for discussion.
That was my only question.
I don't see any reason for them not to be on site.
Well, I don't either, but I don't know, that's what I'm asking. If
Right,
it's a
I think
requirement, does it
especially,
have to be in the
I think since it's a new position and
It's
it'll
gonna
be
be
a new,
confusing to
new
somebody,
person
though.
and
Yes.
they're, right, so it should be on site.
Yeah, it will be. Okay, it's open for discussion. Anyone else? I mean,
So I guess I'm asking Kathy, does that have to be in the resolution or no? Because we said that as a board, then the on-site.
so is this, his discretion is on there, right?
and the only time I'd let them work from home is if they say, take the laptop home.
Well, if they're sick, we don't want them working.
No,
They can work from home if they got COVID.
no, they gotta work here, as far as I'm concerned. We've already been that route before.
Okay.
I mean, I'd have to confirm that with Nick in terms of what the board, I know the board is responsible for creating the position and setting the hours and the pay. And then Scott has the discretion to appoint whoever he wants to appoint for that position.
Understood. I just wanna make sure that that it's clear in the description that it's an on-site position.
Do I need to withdraw that or just amend it?
You can just amend it.
All right, resolution to authorize the position of confidential secretary on site to the supervisor at $20 an hour, not to exceed 10 to 15 hours a week. Steve, are you gonna re-motion?
I'll make a motion that we accept the new proposal, keeping the girl on, or, person on the site.
And I'll second it. Is there any other discussion? Roll call vote, Mr. Zelani,
Yes.
Ms. Lemonna,
Yes.
Mr. Seitz,
Yes.
and I vote yes. That's, motion's carried. There was something else too, wasn't
I got a couple things,
Well, I was gonna talk about the auditor's report too, but go ahead, Ed.
seeing that our bookkeeper isn't coming back for any, job, we need to get the ARPA funds out and go over it and find out what equipment is over there, and that's all gonna come back to town. Everything.
it? ARPA fund.
Well, a lot of it was paid with ARPA.
What equipment are you talking about?
Can't hear you.
The equipment at one of our bookkeeper's place.
The printer and the computer, you're in the office, and that's what inventory is about.
So there's nothing out there, no furniture, nothing?
No, everything's in the office. The only thing that was authorized to go home was the printer and the copier, and you guys authorized that whenever you did before Lynn and I came on the board.
I didn't authorize that,
The previous board did, yes, when you were on the previous board.
but I didn't authorize that. That was pre-COVID. During COVID, I wasn't on there.
Okay. Yes, Beth will inventory that stuff tomorrow. Okay, go ahead, Kevin.
So I also sent out earlier today, I'm not sure if the board had a chance to review it. But I'll read it for the public tonight and then we can make it available if the board chooses to, adopt this. So in response to the auditor's report, I went back, I looked at the 2021 report, I looked at the 2024 report, and I basically took the 7 things that the comptroller's office initially pointed out for the period from 2018 to 2021. I took those recommendations that they indicated were not implemented in 2024. And so I've set those forth here in a document. So for the first one, resolve discrepancy in the town's accounting records. The town has already retained Drescher and Malecki to assist with reconciling all bank accounts from all funds starting from December 2022 through the current period. Reconciling audited statements as of December 31st, 2022 to opening January 31st, 2023 balances in accounting software, and reviewing revenue expense accounts for the years ended December 31st, 2023 and December 31st, 2024. Once this work is done, the town plans to outsource the bookkeeping function to an accounting or bookkeeping firm. Outsourcing the work will be no more expensive than the cost of retaining a full-time bookkeeper with benefits, and will ensure that board members have complete and accurate records to properly manage and monitor town financial operations. With respect to number 2, complete bank reconciliations in a timely manner. Again, the town has outsourced bookkeeping functions to LGSS for the remainder of 2024 to provide the following services. Provide support to the clerk and town supervisor for voucher preparation and payment, process payroll biweekly, including tax filing and depositing payroll reports, New York State retirement reporting, and issue W-2s at year end. Provide limited HR support for workers' compensation and disability claims and reporting to the county. Reconcile bank accounts monthly and provide monthly reports including bank reconciliation, supervisor's report, and budget to actual revenue and expense reports, and assist with the preparation of the annual budget and complying with the New York State tax cap filing. Again, the town also plans to send out a request for proposals to outsource the bookkeeping functions for 2025 and beyond. Outsourcing the work will result in timely bank reconciliations and will ensure that board members have complete and accurate records to properly manage and monitor town financial operations. Number 3, periodically review records and reports in monthly bank reconciliations. Although the town plans to outsource the bookkeeping function, the town supervisor remains responsible for collecting money belonging to or due to the town, paying board-approved claims, maintaining complete and accurate accounting records, and providing detailed monthly financial reports to the board. Accordingly, the supervisor will work closely with the outside accounting firm and will review records, reports, and monthly bank reconciliations, and will maintain documentation to substantiate that review and oversight. Number 4, provide monthly financial reports to the board, which include a detail of all money received and dispersed. The town has outsourced bookkeeping functions to LGSS for the remainder of 2024 to provide the services which I mentioned earlier and I'm not going to repeat. The town will also again send out a request for proposals to outsource the bookkeeping functions, and outsourcing the work will result in timely monthly financial reports that will include a detail of all money received and dispersed, and will ensure that the board members have complete and accurate records to properly manage and monitor town financial operations. Number 5, properly file the annual financial report with OSC as required. I'm going to recommend that the town send out a request for proposals seeking an accounting firm to prepare the annual audit and file the annual financial reports with OSC in a timely manner. Soliciting bids will ensure that the town is getting the best service for the most reasonable cost. Number 6, attend and apply applicable and beneficial training sessions to better understand and perform duties. The supervisor has attended and will continue to attend relevant training sessions, particularly with respect to management of town finances, and will work with the outside consulting firm to implement this training in connection with responsibilities to oversee the town's finances. And number 7 is the board should ensure that recommendations and other opportunities for improvements made by the CPA are implemented by town officials. The board has discussed and will continue discussion on the review of existing town policies and implementation of recommended policies with respect to claims review, budget process, investments, purchasing, capital assets, bank reconciliation, journal entries, record keeping, and others. Work sessions will be scheduled to focus on policy review and implementation, and the board will work with the outside bookkeeping firm and town attorney in connection with this process. Any thoughts, any discussions, that satisfactory to the board?
I would just say we might wanna make a motion for that audit RFP now, because if it's supposed to be complete by February, the end of February of 25, we would wanna we might be even late now trying to find a firm, but we might wanna do that in the next week or so.
For a new auditing firm, to perform the annual audit, because your bookkeeping firm can't perform your audits. You have to have 2 separate firms, because the firm that does the audit can't be the firm that does the books. That's conflict.
And we're not sticking with that.
I think you should bid it out. Doesn't mean you don't necessarily go back to Allied, but I think you should bid it out. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, a resolution to request, a resolution for request for proposals for the town's annual audit. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's carried. Can you type that, you want to type that up and send it to me and I'll put it up?
Yeah, I'll give you a tip.
Okay.
You can correct it or change it as you want, but yeah, I'll
Okay.
just send the work.
Thank you. Did you get that resolution there then?
Yeah, but I'll get it from you tomorrow too.
Okay. We need, is there a resolution to accept that, or we just accept it?
You should do a resolution to accept it. Response to comptroller's audit.
Review, right?
Review of, yes, comptroller's review of 2020.
All right, we have a resolution to accept the response to the comptroller's review. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that we accept the
Second?
report.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's carried.
I'll email it to you, Darlene, so you can put it on the website.
Thank you.
So that's everything, right? That was all the business?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll get with LGSS tomorrow, get the sheets, we'll combine everything. and I will, as soon as she runs the numbers for me, I'll send them out to you guys, and let you know how it's looking. I just got the assessor stuff today, and I got the tax, Orleans County tax stuff today, and that should be it.
I can briefly comment, and I'm still looking into this, but Ed, I know you had raised a question about getting the town's tax rates, or I'm sorry, not tax rates, the town's water rates on the county website. So I went to the Orleans County website and I looked at what was on there. And what's on there for the various water districts, I believe, are the amounts that each of those water districts charge for their debt service. And the reason that they're on here under special district rates on the county's tax rate chart is because they show up on all of these other towns issue these fees on their residents' tax bills. The town of Shelby does not do it that way. You are charged on your tax bill for the debt service, or not tax, on your water bill for the debt service fee. It doesn't show up on your tax bill, which is why it doesn't show up on the Orleans County tax rate website. So that's why it's not on here, because the town of Shelby doesn't charge you for it on your tax bill.
So if we did charge them on their tax bill, it could be a deduction for people. Could that be changed, or too late to do that, or they can deduct it off their taxes when they file?
I don't know, but I'm happy to look into that. I just, like I said, I was able to figure out why it wasn't on here. But in terms of, as I'm going back and looking through the various water districts and water rates and all of that, I will see why it was created that way, and I will also see if there is a way to change it, and then if there is, certainly that's something that the board can consider. So I will continue to work on that and continue to report to the board on that. That's all I have.
Thank you again. All right, I'll make a motion, we close the meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. And the meeting is closed. Thanks, everyone.
That doesn't matter, same difference, same thing, I don't know. Adjourn to me means you're gonna come back and pick